Hi, welcome to the Swan Effect Mums Coffee and Chat podcast. This week, I'm introducing Tom, and we're going to be talking about being a dad to daughters. So this can go on one or two ways. So we're going to find out what it's actually like from a dad's perspective. And everyone knows how I love to get dads on board. So thanks so much, Tom, for coming and being my guest. How are you today? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, thanks for having me on. I've always sort of enjoyed the thought of doing a podcast, and now it's
Yeah.
real. So I'm like, it's always good to have, as you say, have options of speaking to dads as well. So
Yeah, definitely. I've spoken to a few dads now, and I'd gone on Twitter, and I've become friendly with a few, and obviously I've been following yourself, the Doubting Thomas account there, because you have the blog, and yeah, I think we just had a chat about it, and I said, yeah, what do you want to talk about? And you came straight up and said this. So I said, yeah, great, let's get that perspective on it. So I always ask the first question to everybody just to get an idea of who you are and where you're from. So where do you live and who do you live with?
okay, so I'm from Kent, not the nice part of Kent, the rougher part of Kent, I'd say, but with my wife and two daughters who are 10 and 5. We've got a cat who's just joined me in the room, and a hamster who is up there somewhere making maybe a little bit of noise. So
Can't
I
hear
am
anything. You're
no, so
fine.
I am the just me and him are the only boys in the house. So
Oh,
it's very female oriented house.
well, my partner, he's obviously got two daughters from his previous marriage. And then when I became pregnant, I was thinking, I wonder if we can give him a son. No, it's going to be a girl. And the next time I got pregnant, I was like, hopefully it's going to be a boy for him. No. And he said, I'm just meant to be surrounded by
Yeah,
women. I'm just got to be surrounded by women, four daughters.
exactly. Some people are just made to have boys or
Yeah,
girls. You know,
yeah,
it's the way.
exactly. So tell us a little bit about how you met your wife.
Okay, so it was, the pleasures of online dating a number of years ago. Some people say that doesn't work for them, but it eventually worked for us both. We met in 2014, and I don't even think that the site we met on is even running anymore, which just shows the quality of the site itself. It's not one of these mainstream like Match.coms or eHarmonies. It was a free dating site that we just, found each other on, which makes it even more, I guess, kind of great because it was quite a rare to find someone
Yeah.
on such a small site. Um, yeah, we met in early 2014 and got married in 2019. So it's been a real kind of story for us.
So it does work then, online dating. I did it. I was single for 10 years and I did Tinder, I did Plenty of Fish, I think I did Match.com.
Yeah,
And, I went on a few dates. But like I said, I liked it because I met some interesting people. And that's how I saw
mhm,
dating at the time. I just thought, just get to know people and see how you feel. I ended up
yeah.
meeting Phil in a pub on a Friday night because his stepsister introduced us, and I thought,
Oh,
why
the
couldn't you have done
old-fashioned
that
way.
years ago?
Exactly, and I've never really been very good at meeting people in pubs or wherever and approaching them. It's always been people that I've known of or who have been in a circle of friends before. But
Yeah,
say my wife was just someone who I kind of just clicked with straight away. We're
yeah,
both in similar positions in life and what we actually wanted. We'd kind of been through long-term relationships and actually thought we want to find something that's going to last
yeah.
now. And I truly do believe that you need to meet people, have things with them, and know what you don't want before you find what you do want, and then it clicks. So
Oh, absolutely, definitely. So if anyone's listening and they're thinking about online dating, I've been with someone
yeah,
now 5, 6 years. I'm not up to date with what's what, but go on the apps and just try because you never know. And look, here's Tom telling you his story.
don't give up. It will
Don't give
happen
up, give it a
eventually. I
go.
truly do believe that there's someone out there for most people.
There is completely, no,
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. So, how have you found life as a dad to daughters? Did you have any expectations? So, have you had sisters or nieces or anything growing up? And has it all been just a huge learning curve?
Definite learning curve. I think parenting to anybody is a learning curve. But
Yeah,
I had an older, I still have an older sister, of course. But she'll be the first to admit she was never really a girly girl. So I didn't have the understanding of being close to a girl growing up who was
yeah,
into those sorts of things. And really because I'm the youngest in the family, in the immediate family, so it's kind of having kids was the first real awareness that I had of being around kids. And obviously every parent learns on the job, and they learn from other people, but mostly it's down to them. So I do enjoy being a dad to girls, because I'm not much of a macho man, and I'm quite effeminate, and always really have been, and I've always been quite comfortable in girls company. So I think for me, like, if that's the way it was destined to be, that's the way it was destined to be. I've never really been desperate for a boy, like in my own image, or to sort of follow in my footsteps, or that sort of thing. So I've always just, we were set on having two. The fact that they're both girls is kind of, it works for us, and yeah. So in short, it's a massive learning curve, but what parenting journey isn't.
Do you know what? I've asked that question, but thinking about it, I was an auntie. I'm 39 now, so I was an auntie at the age of 11. I'm quite a hands-on auntie. The youngest now is 16, so I don't see them all that often. They're now doing their own thing, but I had them a lot when they were younger. And I thought, yeah, this is okay. I could do this, This is like not bad. Yeah, no, it's nothing. It's nowhere near the same
Nothing,
thing.
no, nothing can prepare you for it, can it? Yeah. I've always said that you can talk about, as a couple, the right time to have kids, but you just never know. Like, you can be financially stable, you can be, aware of, you can be right, let's do this, let's put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak, and actually think, right, this is time. But until you have them here, you just don't know until you start to learn with them. And I think we obviously planned to have kids together, but it was just a case of learning as we go, and
no right time.
being a team. No, precisely.
You never got enough money for children, because you always live to your means. So someone might have very little, like minimum wage, one income, and have 4 children, but manage just as well as someone who's got two parent family with lots of money, because you live to your means, don't you? And just go for it. I always say, just go for it. And it'll work itself out in the end anyway.
Exactly.
So how did you guys all find life in lockdown in 2020 and during the rest of the pandemic, really? Did you do the whole homeschooling and, social life, kids clubs, birthdays, etc.? How did you work all that out?
It was tough. Of course it was. We were actually quite fortunate, because we were in Lanzarote when COVID broke out. So we obviously were hearing these things that it reached Italy. We thought, oh God, are we going to be next? I think it reached Tenerife at one point, and we were obviously quite close by to that. But we were fortunate because we came home, and then a fortnight later, the world had completely shut down.
Oh, so you got your holiday in just in time.
Yeah, we were really fortunate. And we sort of felt bad because people were saying, oh, I've cancelled this, cancelled that. We were like, we're okay. We just got in there in time.
Yeah.
So once at the end of March, I was home from work for good, and the kids were home. And I think a lot of people, when it came to homeschooling, they were quite optimistic, in terms of, oh, it's going to be an inconvenience for a little while, but we'll throw ourselves into it. And
put Joe Wicks on a Friday.
Yeah. But when the kids go back, it will be a case of, all right, well, we've done homeschooling, never again. And of course, that didn't pan out. It just grew and grew and grew and escalated into this massive lockdown. But I've got to say, everyone's been really good, respectful of the fact that I'm working, respectful of the fact that we've got 2 kids at different ages. Like, our youngest was in nursery still at the time. Right. So her needs for homeschooling were much different, or a lot different to what our eldest needed. Yeah. So it was about having to try and balance the expectations there of trying to make sure that they both got attention without being disruptive. It was quite hard, but my wife has been fantastic. She got so many different materials, so many different workbooks for both kids, and flashcards and counting blocks for the youngest, and workbooks for our eldest. And they had all of the things that they needed. It was just the emotional support that went with it was always going to be tough, because everyone's in the same boat. It's no one's first choice, really, to be at home. But it's been tough. And seeing them back at school and then seeing them back out of school early this year was, I think, a real kick in the teeth, because we just thought, this is it now. We've had our lockdown. That's it. We'll move on. But yeah, it's been a learning curve again for all of us. But what we can say is that these kids have been through something like this, and they've got a real kind of story to tell
Yeah,
now to their kids, that we've
definitely.
not survived it, to be corny, but
Yeah,
like,
live through it.
we've gone through it, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's the longest time that anyone's been home from school that we can ever really
yeah.
remember. So we
It's
come
made
out of
a
it in
valid
a really
point
good
about the
place.
emotional side of it, because I think with young girls as well, or boys, it's the social side of it. But like you said, everyone's in the same boat, aren't they? So
Exactly, yeah.
as much as they can go, oh, it's not fair, their friends are all saying the same thing because they're all in the same situation. I remember when I was 13, I was really ill, and I had gastric flu, and then I got home to hospital and everything. So I'd missed the whole half term from February half term to Easter. And that was a long time, but I was the only one who was at home that whole time. And when I came
Really.
back into society, all my friends had changed. They all had different boyfriends. They'd all, the new fashion had changed. They all like new songs. I have never felt, and I still remember that feeling of, oh, I don't belong. I don't know where I fit in. It was so hard. But yeah, like I said, the teenagers all just kind of got on with it because, like you said,
Yeah.
they're all in the same boat. They've got technology, which I didn't have in the 90s.
Or if we'd had this lockdown without Netflix,
Uh,
I don't know what we would have done.
yeah.
It would,
I don't think you'd
yeah,
want to say that.
I think because we obviously didn't have that, we didn't know that we'd miss it.
Yeah,
But I think now what we have, even a power cut sends us crazy. Like what we can and can't do is like we're so reliant on it. But
yeah,
it's been so great to just appease us a little bit over lockdown. It's just,
yeah,
a bit of time to chill on
yeah,
technology. Can't go wrong with that.
definitely not. So your eldest is due to start secondary school in
Yep, she is.
2022.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about becoming a dad to a teenager, and especially a teenage daughter? So let's face it, not saying all of them, not going to tar them all with the same brush, because I was hard work, but I wasn't bad. Do you know what I
Uh,
mean? It was,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think everyone goes through that. And I know lots of my friends are at the same point you are. Some are, oh yeah, she's fine, she's easy. And then others are just getting phone calls from the school every other day. And it's just crazy. It's just stressful. So how are you feeling about all that?
For a start, I feel really old knowing that it will be
Yeah.
I'll be a dad to a teenager. I think because obviously, we're not far from actually choosing and submitting her school place. So
Yeah.
it's become quite real, like that it's only one more year of junior school left and then her life will change forever. She'll be
Mm,
in that new school for 7 years. And obviously we left school well, I left school at 16 and
yeah,
went
I
out to
did that.
work.
Yeah.
So for her, she doesn't get that option. She's there regardless of being sort of 16 plus. So that in itself has changed.
Mm,
I think being a dad to a teenager is going to have its issues because especially with teenage girls, they will generally be closer with their mum because there'll obviously be stuff that they go through
yeah.
that they probably don't feel comfortable talking to dad about, and that's cool. I would never force the issue there. I just we want to make this place sort of our home as open as possible, as friendly as possible, because she's going to go through a lot of changes. She's
So
going to go through a
you're quite
lot.
happy to do that, everything on the table. She can come to you about
Yeah,
anything and you're
yeah,
pretty open.
yeah, exactly. Because I think there's going to be teenage boys. There's going to
Yeah,
be friendships breaking up. There's going to
yeah,
be more teenage boys. There's going to
yeah.
be changes in her body, in her
Mm,
mindset, and all that sort of thing. And as much as those things might sometimes be a little bit you know, hard to talk about, hard to bring up. We want her to know that she's got the possibility, the sort of chance to do that in quite an open, easy way. Because if
mm,
she starts shutting them out or doing that unintentionally, it could drive them further away. So
yeah,
we kind of, I'm going to expect a lot of those things to kind of happen, a lot of difficult conversations, but as long as we can support her at home, stuff at school and stuff with her friends hopefully become less significant because she's got a really good support network
yeah,
inside
at
our
home.
four walls.
Mm,
But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's when we talk about being a dad to young girls, we now talk about being a dad to slightly older girls. There's a whole new different set
yeah.
of things to consider. And yeah, it's I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to having more grown up conversations with her, doing more grown up things. But there's obviously, she's got a lot ahead of her. So we'll
It's
do
kind of, do
whatever
you know
we
what I
can.
always think when they go to secondary school? It feels like they're quite old when they're the last year of primary school, and you think, oh, they look quite big. They've grown up so much, and then you see them in year 7 on day 1 with their like little bags and the uniforms, and then you see the year 11s and you go, oh god, they're tiny, they're gonna get absolutely annihilated. And you're like,
I think for them, like, I think they also realise that they're no longer they're the little fish now in the big pond, and actually last year they weren't. And I think, you know, I remember walking in with my massive like rucksack full of books that I never put anywhere else but in my bag, and I was quite tall, and I mean, like my eldest is quite diddy, bless her, so she'll really feel it. But I just think, especially after the last couple of years of interrupted, you know, school time that they had, it will be a real positive step for her. We've already chosen her school; she's happy with it. So bring it on, the changes.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a quick break now, and then I'll come back to you in a second. I'm just going to put the kettle on very quickly.
Okay.
Thanks. Right. See you in a minute. Welcome back. So the next question I was going to ask is, what has been the best parts of being a dad to daughters, and what has been the most challenging? Now, this can be from 0 to where we're at now.
So I think just in general, you know, like I think being a dad to daughters or sons is great because you get all the first moments. So you get, you know, first time that they walk, talk, all that sort of stuff. But I think daughters especially, you know, there's that kind of unspoken bond between a dad and a daughter where there's that protective side. And of course, that's there for everybody, for every parent involved. But dad towards daughter, you know, from any age, you know, you protect them, you want to kind of, you want them to look up to you, and sort of, I think it's just this thing of like, they'll always be your little girl, regardless of how old they are, you know.
Yeah, it's true that.
And it's kind of an ongoing, unconditional thing where you kind of will always want to look out for them. And I think for me, like, I just enjoy getting down to their levels, or playing with them. And I think what I said before about not being the most masculine bloke, I can kind of do that because I buy into the characters, and they always get me to sort of do funny voices, and I'm not great at it, but it makes you feel good that they want these things from you. And
are you the fun dad then, Tom, or do you have a bit of both? So who's bad cop, good cop? Do you know what I mean?
I think because I've had issues with this before, like towards in my own head about, do I need to be on par with my wife's kind of discipline routine, I guess, and the way you handle things? And I think it's not me. I'm not as confident at it. I think a lot of it was because I obviously work 8 hours a day, and I'm not always around. So you kind of get used to doing things your own way. And I probably would say I'm the more active in terms of doing all the silly stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just my role in this house more than not. And I do obviously want them to still be aware of the fact that I'm still a parent, and I'm still, you know,
that's it, isn't it?
My rule is, and it's finding that balance between them just laughing it off because it's daddy saying it rather than whatever. But I think it's a fine line between, you know, trying to step into someone else's shoes and be, you know, the parent that maybe is not the most natural disciplinarian, which is probably where I am. So I do try and be try and be fun, and try and be kind of quite like, try and let things go a bit more. I think that's a dad's role sometimes, is to be the kind of the joker among the pack.
Yeah,
so
it definitely is.
Definitely embrace that.
So the sorry, I've lost where I was then. So number 7. So what are your biggest concerns with regards to your daughter's online exposure, school, bullying, etc.? Do you talk about these, and if so, how do you approach the subjects? So we just talked about that with your eldest going to secondary. One of my biggest worries at the minute is I've only got very, very young children, 3 and 9 months. So it seems like I'm being a bit paranoid or a bit overcautious. But I have friends that have got teenage girls, and honestly, some of them are 13 and are so bothered by how they look online, and they're pouting, and they're wearing minimal clothes, and their hair looks a certain way. Like, for me, yes, all women like to look good, and men, I suppose, to a certain extent. But today, for example, I haven't had time to straighten my hair. I've put makeup on, but I haven't had time to straighten my hair. A part of me was thinking, oh no, this is going to go on YouTube and everyone's going to see this. but then I'm from the 90s. It's to the point where I think, who cares, you know? But these kids are really, I mean, I've saw something else today, how I think Norway have made it illegal now, or you have to declare if you've altered your image on Instagram to
Right.
make
Okay.
yourself thinner and things, which is great. So hopefully that will, I'm hoping by the time my girls are at a certain age, these things are going to be in place, because they're not at the moment and it's worrying.
No.
So what do you have any, that was my main concern when they're older. Everything else I think I can help with them with, but that I just wouldn't be able to.
I think that's the biggest thing that concerns me, because especially as you said, being a dad to girls, you kind of know that the scrutiny on image and body image is,
Relentless.
and I think that's going to be a massive shock for all of us when we get into fully fledged teenage years. I think we've got an advantage because we've lived in the social media age. I mean, I remember MySpace being around when I was maybe 16, and Facebook was just creeping in at that point. And so we have lived through the digital age, and we know most of what's out there. The trouble is that there's still so much more that we don't know. In the time between us growing up and the kids growing up, there's so many more social media sites, apps, networking sites, if that's what you want to call them, that are out there. And we need to have the ability to know what's out there, but also trust our kids to make the right calls.
That's it, isn't it?
Where's the balance?
Yeah, like I've got a friend who, I don't know if she listens to this, I'm not saying her name anyway, but she said to me that her daughter has got Snapchat, her 13-year-old daughter's got Snapchat, and she did something wrong, and it was wrong, it was really wrong, and she's worried about her and things like that, which is fair enough. But she's now said, I want you to put your maps on Snapchat so I know where you are all the time.
Right.
So then a part of me is thinking, oh gosh, where's the trust? That your mum's watching you wherever you go. It's like my equivalent of the 90s is your mum reading your diary, in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
I do. Yeah.
But she said, Lynn, just you wait, wait until your girls are older. When it's available, you're going to do it. Like, if you always hid your diaries because you never really trusted your mum.
No, absolutely.
Everyone hid their diaries because if it was there unlocked and your mum saw it and she was worried about you, she probably would have read it out of concern to see what was going on in your life. So I get it, but it's like you said, you've got to have some trust. But the more social media and the more exposure there is, it's easy for mums and dads just to pick up their phone and when were they last online? Where were they?
Exactly. And I mean, she's going to have a phone, her first phone in I think sort of start next year, so that she's got the phone for a while before
for the secondary school.
Because otherwise it's a novelty, it's new, it's look at my new phone, and that's when other influences maybe starts to come in. But I think, I mean, we're going to track her phone anyway when to make sure that she's at school safe. That's the primary function for that phone and at that point for us. But I think she needs to know in the best way possible the dangers, and transparency from us as to what can happen without scaring her off.
That's it. I remember they used to say, don't talk to strange men, and I remember my dad, bless him, bumped into a little girl and she was like terrified of him because her mum and dad said don't talk to strange men, but he was like, oh, I'm not horrible. And I just remember thinking, you've got to be careful how much you say to the kids, because they'll be scared stiff of everything, wouldn't they? If you opened up and told them everything we knew as adults.
Oh, definitely. I wrote a post a little while back about the option of being able to have an ID check for. I'll put in context. So I work for a bank, and we have to have ID processes to open an account as a standard, because we're in control of your money and so on. But in terms of social media, a lot of the damage caused is by people making fake accounts, hiding behind profile pictures that aren't them, aliases, all that sort of stuff, trolls, and they do cause the majority of the damage. They offer the most threat to young people, and it's too easy to hide behind something else and be somebody else. But I hope by the time that social media becomes kind of wanted by our elders, that we can crack down a bit on that.
I'm hoping so too. They've got to. I mean, there's already talk of it, and yeah, it's gathering momentum, and there is a lot of people. I mean, I've never been trolled, so I don't know, but I've
No.
seen a lot now, and it's not nice at all, is it?
No,
Well,
and to have girls worrying about their image when they just should be having fun with their friends,
oh God.
and it only
If
takes
I
one
thought,
one
I
person.
wish I was as fat as I thought I was when I was 13. They're going to think it anyway.
Yeah,
And I had no social media then. It's part of teenage girls' genetics, I think. We compare each other to other girls, and oh, look at them,
yeah,
or they go shopping. You go shopping on a Saturday for the first time when you're 13 with your girlfriends, and they're getting a size 10, and you're like, oh, I'm a size 12. Oh, I'm big. I think it's just part of it, and
yeah,
but social media just just makes it even worse, I'm sure.
exactly. And also the people that she likes Little Mix and Taylor
Yeah,
Swift, and on paper, well, when you look at them on videos and stuff, they're airbrushed,
gorgeous. Yeah,
and yeah, and I guess that's kind of, you don't want her to think that anything less than that is
yeah,
not good enough.
no,
And we'll carry on reinforcing that with her, and handle any concerns that she's got. But it's other people at school, especially when she's a year 7, 8, 9, and she's in lower school,
yeah.
and I know you can't worry that it's always going to be that way, but you just have a feeling that it will be to a certain
Mm.
extent, because that's life. We've all been
It is,
in
yeah.
situations like that.
You can't shield them from everything, and you can't wrap them up them
Exactly.
all. And if you did, and then when they go out into the big bad world when they're 18, 19, they're going to be in such a shock.
They
Oh,
won't thank you for it. If you
no, they
do, they
won't.
won't thank you
They
for it. No.
no, they really won't. Anyway, let's change that. So we're just saying,
Yes.
prepare your daughters and sons for
The world. Yeah.
the world, basically, but trickle it in as the years go by, rather than
Yes.
giving them everything in one go. So I'm
Definitely.
going to change it now. You uploaded a poem called Not As Old As We Think on your Doubting Thomas blog in December 2019. So I was scrolling right back. As you
Very far
stated,
back. Yeah.
yeah, as you stated that you and your wife sometimes worried about drifting and losing your touch as you got older. The poem was your way of saying there's plenty of life left for you both yet. What has becoming parents meant for you both as a couple? And what do you guys do to keep reminding yourselves that you're a couple other than mum and dad on a daily, weekly, or even monthly basis? So for me, I'm still new in this game. I've only been a parent for 3 years. It is flipping hard. Throw in a
Yeah.
lockdown as well. It is
Yeah.
hard. One was okay. People are willing to babysit one. Two, people are a bit more reluctant, because by the time you've got your second, it means you've got a toddler. So not only have you got a baby now, you've also got a toddler. So it's
Exactly.
really tricky, and nobody really wants to, because it's hard work. And that is fair enough, because sometimes I don't want them. And and I'm their mum. So I
Yeah.
get that. But we went out for his birthday in June. Yeah. And it was the first time in 2 years we'd had and I hate this word, a date night, but I don't know what I've read. I don't know what the word would be for it. And I just thought, that's ridiculous. Why aren't we doing more together?
But the question to ask you really is did you know it had been 2 years until you went out? Had
No,
time just flown that
flown by.
quickly by?
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the
lockdown
thing.
helped. I mean, lockdown did stop a
Yeah,
lot of it, and I was
massively.
pregnant and stuff. But seriously, it was like, but to be fair, I think we did do cinema night just before lockdown. But again, 2 hours. I mean, so, no, that's still going out together, isn't it? I suppose, a
Yeah,
cinema.
but
Yeah,
in terms of taking the weight off your feet for the entire night, that's
yeah,
kind of I guess what you're saying. I
yeah.
think I mean the poem was sort of written on a whim when I used to write poetry quite a lot, because it's a very important thing for me to sort of feel that once you stop, I mean you're always going to be the parents, but even of a night time, if you put the kids to bed, sometimes you're just too knackered to
Yeah,
contemplate being husband and wife, adults, because you've had a stressful day or
you
work's been
scroll on
tough
your
or
phones,
whatever.
don't you, for the
Yeah,
hour
yeah,
you've got free, and then you go
yeah.
on time going to bed.
And I just think that you do that one day a week, then you do it 3 or 4 times a week, and then it just becomes the norm. And
Mm.
we're under no illusions. We know that parenting is our top priority as people, to look after these two and to guide them through different times and lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully lockdowns are now a thing in the past, fingers crossed.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
yeah, but we know that they're going to be our priority. But at the end of it, when they've grown up, and they've moved on and moved out, whenever that might be, we still want to have stuff left in the tank for us. We still want to
Yeah.
be husband and wife, and expand on what got us together in the first place. We've still got that spark, but you always kind of have a pecking order for what comes first. You still got to get on with family and friends and social together, and the poem was really about making sure that even though we talk about the kids and talk about like sleepless nights at the start and stuff at school, you're still a couple, and that's also important, because if you lose what that's all about, you just become parents. And
it's so close to being, like you said, the pecking order. Your children are your priority, but I genuinely do think that it's like such a close second, because I've seen too many people dedicate their lives to children, which is great, and that's great, but the children grow up and you can see they're thinking, oh, what do we talk about? What do we do? Because let's face it, once the kids are adults and they're 18 or uni or working, and they realize that money gives them time and freedom to go places, they're gone. And do you know what? If you've done your job right, that's what you want for your kids as well. To go out and just fly the nest. But it does mean that you're sat in a nest that was full before, and now it's just two of you in there. So you need to make sure that you're still in line with that person, and you still have things in common and things to talk about and all that. So I'm completely with you. And when I saw that poem, I was like, yes, that is so true.
Yeah, because we've got plans, we've got stuff that we want to do both individually and as a couple, and we're sort of looking ahead to when the first time that we might be able to go away, the two of us, for a weekend, even just bridge that gap a little bit and actually start to think, what, we've put in the hard graft as parents, let's find the time for us to do it as well. Definitely. But yes, we are certainly waiting for that, but under no illusions, parenting has still got to be the number one priority for us. Of course, but as long as there's still got the same spark that we have now to back things up.
But do you know what I also think? Yes, they're priority. I'm going to sound like do you know what? My whole account is because I want to be honest about motherhood. I love my kids, but at the same time, I want me to be still me. I think if my sister wants to take my kids for the night, and she gives them all the attention, all the fun, all the popcorn, the crisps and chocolates that I would let them have all night, and whatever films they want to watch, and takes them out for the next day and things. That's not being a bad mum, because I did that for her kids, and her kids loved coming to mine. They thought it was a little holiday, gave my sister a break, and it gave me time with my nieces and nephews. If you've got people like that in your lives, don't have to be family as such, but close friends. I'm definitely, once my kids are a little bit older,
especially after a lockdown too, I think we're grandparents, because both our sets of grandparents live close by, so when they couldn't see them for months on end because it was the rules, like now we're like, want them for the afternoon, fine, go ahead. It's much more open now.
I remember seeing a video, like a meme video, and it was when lockdown's over, and this person in a Land Rover just went screeching down this road, pulled up outside a house, threw the kids out to the grandparents, and went off again. But anyone that wants to read that poem, do you want to just tell people what the web address is for your blog?
So it's just the doubtingthomas.co.uk.
There you go.
Fairly simple. That's the brand as such. So
and there's loads of different blogs on there, but I looked, and it was December 2019, so if you have a look through, that's when you can find that poem. So the next question, kind of talking about this whole self-care and couples care and things. In January, you talked about the importance of self-care for men in general. What made you write this blog, and what conclusion did you come to? Do you think it's just as important for dads to work on themselves? And if so, what do you do for your self-care?
Well, the term self-care, I'd heard it a lot amongst the blogging community, and I've sort of never really understood what it meant. I thought it was very physical things, such as going for a bath, putting on a face mask, and I thought this is very, and I don't want to stereotype, but very female oriented. I thought it was very much like, what do men even know what self-care means? Do they even understand what the concept of it is? So, and I looked it up, and I was actually like, it's simple. It's doing things for yourself because you want to care for yourself. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And actually, for me, it was simple things like music. For me, is the massive. I wear these massive headphones that you're looking at right now, and I might. I've been known to dance around the kitchen every now and then, and just put on my favourite songs and just think, whatever mood I'm in, escape. It is because you can't hear anything because there's noise cancelling and all that sort of stuff. You just think, in my element here, and even sometimes just sitting and not doing an awful lot after a stressful day, or going out for a walk or a run or some sort of physical activity. Like it hasn't got to be this massive routine of I've got to do this, and everyone's got different ideas about self-care, and that's what I didn't understand at first, because I thought they were very much limited to physical things. But actually, it can just be half hour to yourself. That sometimes something as simple as that can just take yourself, from one mood to another. And I think when I wrote that, it was very much like just taking you on the journey of actually self-care can be for anybody as long as it's personal to you.
Do you know what? Actually, that's what it's from one mood to another. I like that expression, actually, because I've spoken about this quite a lot now on the podcasts. And one lady in America said that she can be in a room with her kids and what they're watching TV, and she's thinking, I can't listen to this one more time. It's driving me mad. And while she's been in the room with her kids, she switches off somehow in her head and goes somewhere else, like meditates kind of thing for 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's not for me. That isn't what I do. But she says that's her self-care. My self-care is, I'm going swimming and spinning because it takes me out. I can't really think when I'm suffering with pain and things when I'm exercising. So I'm in my zone there. And that's where I always used to go to. A friend of mine says she sits in her garden, as long as it's not raining, but even in the winter, she sits there wrapped up with a book. And in the daytime, obviously, for an hour, if she can, with, either music on or without. And that's her thing. And I thought, that's what it is. It's changing. If you're feeling this mood, do you know what I like that, Tom? Because if you're feeling that mood and you want to move from that mood, what do you do for yourself to go to that mood, which will make you feel better? And that's it. Yeah, I really like that expression.
If we record this, I'll put that on a t-shirt and make some money out of it.
Yeah, do it. Why not? Yeah, from one mood to another mood.
Yeah. Maybe something a little bit more catchy, but we'll work on that. But
so basically that's what you do. You just find what makes you happy and do it, because that's self-care, isn't it? And
exactly.
I don't think you can tell anyone how to do self-care. Like you said,
you
it's an individual
offer
thing.
Suggestions and tips, which a lot of blog posts do, but at the end of it, a lot of them, I read 100 of them and it was like, not for me. But find something that works for you and label it self-care, because that is what it's about.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. So, okay, last question. How have you found the online dad blogging community? I have been really, really surprised by how many dads have set up accounts on Twitter, Instagram. I've been looking at blogs. There's loads of blogs as well, and I've been lucky to have so many as guests, as yourself as well. Has it influenced you with alternative ways to parenting your daughters? And have you received any encouraging feedback from other dads? So what I mean is, with me, I think you've always got an idea how you want to parent anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people are the people are influencers that much that they can change my complete outlook on parenting, but I definitely go, oh yeah, okay, I didn't think of it like that, and oh yeah, I haven't tried that, I might try that. And or a parent will message me and go, I'm so glad you're going through what I'm going through, I'm going to do what you did, see if it works. So I'm not being an expert, I'm just saying this is what I'm doing, and also I take tips. Have you found that with the dad community as well?
I think your point about taking advice from others, I think I personally don't that much, because I sometimes think that you can get advice from too many places now, and then you can lose sight of what you're doing in the first place.
Yeah.
I think the dad thing for me, and when I first started the blog, it was very much parenting, but I realized that maybe there's a load of blogs out there that offer advice and tips and recommend products to people, and that wasn't really my game. So I moved away from that. But what the dad community does do is it does reassure you that we're all in the same boat. Parenting guilt is something I feel very strongly about, and I know a lot of people out there write about parenting guilt and how they feel as though we need to try and abolish it and try and move away from that, because everyone makes mistakes.
Do you
parent
mean
is
dad guilt
perfect.
there, or do you mean mums and dads? Because do you think there is dad guilt just as
I
much as mum guilt, but dads
Yeah,
don't
oh,
talk about it?
definitely. I think dads don't talk about a lot of things that maybe could be opened up about. I think men in general don't, and
No.
that's a whole other topic. But
Mm,
I think there's a lot of the whole the sort of mums net forums where people can share ideas
mm,
and best practices and things like that. And actually, we don't often say the stuff that does kind of worry us. And
mm,
I think as parents, you can't fix everything. As dads,
no.
you kind of want to be there to fix things because you don't want to see your kids upset, but you
Yeah.
can't always do that. And
No.
I think what that community does do is it sometimes that it actually works in the opposite way. It takes you away from that, and you see things like jokes and memes and actually about parenting that just make you laugh and make you
Yeah.
think, you know what, it's not it's not as bad as it might seem because everyone's going through a similar
Everyone's
point at
going
some
for it.
point, whether they talk about it or not. You know that they are, because parenting is tough. Parenting
Mm,
has its great moments and its moments where you think, oh, what's going on?
mm,
But underneath it all, there's a great community of people that just want to either help you or just go, yeah, that's I understand that. That's
yeah.
tough, that is. And it's I've not really used, many people online for advice and support in that way, but in terms of just being there to laugh with
Mm,
and talk about stuff with. I don't share a lot about the kids online. That's my
no.
own personal preference,
Yeah.
but everyone's got their own kind of ways of looking at it. But for me, it's just nice to have other people that are in a similar position to you.
I think that's true. I think it really helps to. I gave advice one day, and I said, if you are going to start a mum account on Instagram, say, try and find people that are exactly the same point that you are. So a lot can change from a 6-month-old baby to a 9-month-old baby. So follow people. If you've got a 9-month-old
Yeah,
baby, follow 9-month-old babies, because I can't tell you how many times I get mums going, I'll put a video and go, oh my God, I can't watch Blue's Clues again, or something like that. Or Ronnie keeps banging her head because she's climbing now. And then this woman said, it's funny because you are literally everything you post. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that today with
yeah,
mine. And I think that really helps. And I think for me, like I said, about the advice, you take things with a pinch of salt. I might take little bits of people's what they do.
yeah,
I think there's a lot of people going, look at my life, I'm the most amazing person in the world, and you should do exactly as I say. Nah, because kids don't work that way. But I do like that I get people messaging me to say I'm at the same point of view, and you think, oh, God, I'm not on my own, because
yeah. It
sometimes, especially
reassures you
during
and them,
lockdown,
doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
especially during lockdown, you feel like you're on your own sometimes.
I think like I personally, I'm always on the lookout for stuff that will make me smile. And I think when it
Yeah.
comes to some of the stuff that parents say, even when it's just like the frustrating stuff, or oh, my kid keeps on doing this, or I've watched Peppa Pig for the thousandth time.
Mm.
Like you feel that you've been that. I remember the 5 o'clock wake ups, and that was it. Like, this is my day, and I'm thinking like,
What time do you
surely,
get up now, Tom? Please tell
oh,
me. Does it get better?
the kids are fantastic sleepers. Our youngest is 5. She goes to bed by say 6:30 most nights, and she's up. We've got the grow clock in the bedroom, so
Oh,
it shines on, and
yeah.
and the white noise scene cancels out any other noise. And the kids have been in great routines. The wife's completely 100%, responsible for that. That's
On it.
her
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, she's great at it, and I wouldn't have believe in knowing where to start really. But no, both of our kids are great sleepers. They know that bedtime is bedtime, and been really fortunate in that respect. So it does get better if you're. I think that's going back to your original question. Like, parents want to know that whatever phase they're in isn't going to last forever.
And it doesn't. I don't,
Your
and I'm
teething
saying that,
phase and that
and
sort
I'm
of thing.
feeling at the minute, my baby is still up in the living room with my partner, and it's now 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
It's a phase, everything's a phase. It's just at that time, you're so over it
yeah,
already. You just want it to pass. And then you go,
yeah.
oh, isn't time flying? I really miss those days. And you forget.
But
You forget it
that is
all.
something that books and websites and forums can't teach you, is how to deal with your babies in your own four walls.
You just can't.
And
You
no,
absolutely can't.
exactly.
So as
So
much as you're talking about how to bring up daughters and what it's like bringing up daughters,
Yeah,
Your daughters are completely different to other people's daughters, but it just
exactly.
gives you a generic, idea of what it's like. Well, thank you ever so much. I think that's everything. So, like I said, go on his account. Like, he did start with the parenting. It's not so much parenting now. You're like, I think you do what I'm wanting to do. I think I'm gonna veer away
I'm
from
going in
parenting
any
and just,
whatever takes my mind at the time. I write about it. I
yeah,
mean, there are some parents, but parenting now is mainly switching on to some of the stuff that we've mentioned about what to do in the future with parents, with being parents to teenagers
yeah.
and the world out there and all that sort of thing. That's my next kind of element. So it's a mixture of different things on the website, but
I think that's what I'm going to do. Just whatever
yeah,
in my head, just write it down,
get
because
it down.
I'd said
Yeah,
that just makes it easier. You stress so much otherwise about what to write, and think just get it down. But yes,
exactly.
that's the Downton Thomas. If you want to find him on there, thank you ever so much, and thank you for chatting to me tonight. And
Thank you
is
very
there
much.
anything else you want to talk about? No.
No, just hope you can get more people on podcast, and obviously, like it seems like a lot of work, but obviously you're doing a great job at it. So
Oh, thank you, Tom.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of
welcome.
work, but I really enjoy doing it. And I'm just grateful to have dads. I really wanted dads, and I can't believe I've got so many. And so I'm really, really happy now, because I think, as I always say, mums do the majority, because that's just the way society puts it
Yeah,
forward.
definitely.
But as I've said, my partner is in there now dealing with our baby, and
Hope he gets off to sleep soon.
well, I think, well,
The
she's
baby,
laughing her
not the
head off
partner.
now. So I think he's got silly dad mode on, like we were talking about before.
Yeah,
I'll make her laugh now, and then I'll have to calm her down and get into bed. But it's
of
fine.
course.
So what I'm saying is, dads are just as important, and they have such a vital role. So thank you ever so much for being my
You're
guest.
welcome.
Thanks everyone for listening, and until next week, we'll see you then. Bye bye.